This video is about creating a specific type of statistic called a combination statistic, where you can overlay up to 4 graphs. So at the end of this video, you'll be able to create a combination statistic. So let's say I want to compare two statistics. In my company, Perfect Service, I'm mainly a dog guy. I have lots of sales of dog food, and I also start doing some cat food, but I would be interested in looking at the two graphs in one. As you can see, the scales here are really different. This goes to 520, and for dogs it's much higher. So how can I create a graph where I can see how one does compared to the other? To create anything, you need to go to administration. So on the bottom left, we click on administration. You make sure you select maintain statistics because you're going to create a new statistic. And in the list of companies, you have to make sure you select the right one. There is one prerequisite for doing this. You don't create a new statistic that is also a combination. You use two existing statistics that you combine in a third one. So in this case, I already have my food for cat, my food for dog, so I can proceed. If I was missing one of the two statistics that I want to overlay, I would need to start by adding a new one. So in this case, I click add a new statistic, and I'm going to call it for example, sales of cat versus dog. I'm going to copy paste this into abbreviation. Let's assign this to the front desk, and here I need to change the type. By default it's standard. We're going to select a combination statistic. If I lower this, you can see most of my statistics here, they're all daily actually. So make sure you select the same period. That's all for now, and then let's click on next. This is money, so I'm going to format this and not leave it unformatted. So I'll format it. I want to see the cents probably, so I'll add 2 decimals, and here just a dollar sign so that the numbers appear on the graph. And that's basically it. I'm going to click on next again. So here there's a couple of things I can do. I can select up to 4 statistics. The reason you have to select the company first for each line is because I could decide to compare statistics from different companies. So that gives you the freedom to do that. In this case, let's just go to the company I want, and I'll select cat. Then on the second line, that's for the second statistic, I'm going to the same company, and I'm going to select food dog. So now I have the two here. One important point is to graph on one scale. Unless you're really comparing two different parameters which are really different. For example, you have sales which are in the 10 or in the 100,000s, and you have a number of appointments which is 10, 20, let's say less than 50 a day. In that case, you would want to choose a different scale, but normally you always want to change to use the same scale, otherwise you're comparing apples to pears. So let's click this, and let's click on finish. So let's go to dashboard. When you're in all statistics, the new one will automatically be added here. If I select it, then I can see I have one graph with the two values. They are very different in my case, and that's why one of them is really very low. But I only have one scale here, as you can see. I have two graphs. On the left side, food cat is the straight line, so you can see it's much lower. And food dog is this one here. It is much higher. Now the graph will not show or display the numbers on the graph itself. The only way to see them is if you hover over one point. It'll show you in the yellow box what the two values are. This graph behaves like all the other graphs. As I enter more data in food and for cat and dog, this graph will automatically be updated. If I want to see the total for another period, for example monthly, it will automatically sum them up. Okay? Now let's check what would have happened if I had not checked that box for the scale. If I go back to administration in that company, I edit this statistic by double clicking, and when I go to next, if I uncheck this box and I go back to dashboard, what happens now is I have two scales, and as you can see, this one goes around up to $560, this one goes to 6,000. So if I had not put it on the same scale but just looked at it, it would seem that, they're almost the same. They're in the same range, which obviously is not the case. Another thing you can do, you can slide one in time compared to the other. So let's go back to administration, to that company. Let's edit the statistic again. Now I am going to put them on the same scale, but let's say I would like to see the data for another period of time. I can shift one of the two statistic graphs in time compared to the other. Shift days to left means, for example, if I enter it here, let's say 90 days, that's 3 months, what will happen is the data will be shifted 3 months earlier. So in that case, I'm going to end up with two timelines. Let me go back. What you have now is, at the bottom here, you can see you have two timelines. One goes from November to February, and the other one goes from August to November. So what this means is I moved one compared to the other. It may be more explicit if I use a different year. Let me go to administration, edit the graph, and here select 365 days. I'll see data for 2017 and for 2016 in my example. So if I go back here, now I can see I have at the bottom, this line here is 2016. I don't have any data, but it would be shown here. And 2017 is just this one here. The advantage is this graph will automatically be updated as you enter data.